Whenever you bring up Palestine and Israel, and people are being like, I wish we could just have peace on both sides. Who are you asking to chill out here? Every time they're talking about Palestine, every time. They're talking about, oh, we wish we could have peace. They're talking about Palestine chilling out. And it doesn't fucking do anything. This is colonialism. This is colonization in real time. And you're telling people who are being colonized to chill out. You're telling them, oh, if you just tried for peace. No! You're saying every country who benefit from colonialism back the country that's colonizing, and you're still going, guys, it's a hard issue to describe. It's not a hard issue, it's genocide. 42 Palestinian family lands are completely fucking gone, off the map and never coming back. Thousands of Palestinian children are dead and are dying. The hospital was bombed. They're online, posting pictures of their dogs and animals suffering because Lord knows you won't sympathize enough with seeing them die. And you're on the side of a country who's on Instagram threatening Gigi Hadid, the Palestinian model, for not being on their side. Okay.
Oh, okay. Wait, let me listen to that last part one more time.
Completely fucking gone, off the map and never coming back. Thousands of Palestinian children are dead and are dying. The hospital was bombed. They're online, posting pictures of their dogs and animals suffering because Lord knows you won't sympathize enough with seeing them die. And you're on the side of a country who's on Instagram threatening Gigi Hadid, the Palestinian model, for not being on their side.
We have good Jews, we have bad Jews, we have evil Jews, we have the Jews that are amazing people, better than anybody that you have ever met. Okay, so this is a diverse community. Okay, we have fascist Jews, we have Jews that have dedicated their lives to make the world a better place, right? We have racist Jews, we have anti-racist Jews, we have every kind of Jew that you want. Okay, there are diverse group of people, but they're a very diverse group of people. How can they not be? There are millions of them, right? She wants just war forever, unless Israel. I think she wants no peace. She wants no peace. When I say, how could you negotiate with people with this attitude? And again, people with this attitude are a lot of pro-Palestinians, unfortunately. And this position that this lady has, is extremely anti-Palestinian. Even though they act like they're pro-Palestinian, this is more harmful even to Palestinians than it is to Israel. She wants no peace with the so-called colonizers because they're colonizers. First of all, lady, they're not colonizers, but your country, I don't know where she's from. Is she American? Because based on her argument, we should be at war with the United States, with Canada, with Australia, with almost every single Arab country except Saudi Arabia. I mean, you want colonize countries that became countries because they colonized. I have news for you, lady. We should be at war with Egypt, apparently, because that was an Islamic takeover of that land. That land was not always Islamic. There was a Islamic colonization happening there. You know, it's Arabized because it's an Arab takeover. We have around 22, I think, Arab countries, and only one of them was originally Arab, which is Saudi Arabia. So 21 Arab countries we should be at war with, according to this lady's standards. But interestingly, Israel is not one of them, because the lands I mentioned, people came and took over by force, like United States, Canada, Australia, and all of that, and all these Arab countries. Israel was not like that. Israel was like, this place was not a country, and there was a whole bunch of empty land, and Jews were being attacked all around the world. And yeah, this was a place where it was not a country. There was plenty of empty land for everybody to go around, and it was an area where countries were being made left and right. So it made complete sense for making an Israeli state and a Palestinian state next to it at the time. And if there was not that much anti-Jewish hatred in the world, it would have worked out for everybody. This was not an act of colonization because there was no country there, and there was empty lands there at the time of the beginning of the creation of Israel. So yeah, this argument that she's making is more anti these other countries that I mentioned than Israel. But if you agree with her argument that there should be no peace with Israel, that means more dead Palestinians. Again, let me tell you how this works. I need to repeat this many, many times. Why do we have wars? Like, what makes people fight each other, right? Because if people are in two states or two nations are at war with each other, it's because both sides believe that they should fight, right? Or else, if one of them is convinced that they shouldn't be fighting, one of them would surrender and the fight would be over. The war would be over. So why would both sides continue with the war? Because both sides have hope that there is victory or there's some achievement with war. So, or if one side believed that there would be no achievement from continuing this war, they would surrender and the war would end. So for you to end the war, one of these two sides or both has to get convinced that, yeah, we're not going to be able to achieve anything with this war. Right? So when it comes to Israel and Gaza, the Israeli side thinks that, yeah, we should continue this fight because there's an achievement at the end of it. And the Palestinian side, namely Hamas, thinks the same. And a lot of people in Gaza who support that idea. Either both or one of these groups are wrong. If one of these groups is wrong, I would like you to guess which one of these groups is wrong. What do you really think the Palestinians have any hope in being able to achieve victory if, especially, the goal is the annihilation of Israel? Who do you think has a chance? Because one side, by the way, Netanyahu is not defining what they're trying to do, which is stupid. Their definition of their achievement was the completely removing Hamas, seems to be unachievable. The goal should have been defined as removing Hamas's ability to rule over Gaza. That should have been the defined definition of this war. I wish that they defined it like this, because that is a very good goal to have, which is accomplishable, right? The annihilation of Hamas, unfortunately, is not accomplishable. But what is the goal on the other side? Is it the two-state solution? Is it Israel pulling out of Gaza and the West Bank? Is it giving the Palestinians the right to have Palestine as a country and the right for them to determine their own destiny and have politicians that they could elect and one day having peace and prosperity for their people and politicians that represent them and the right for them to govern themselves? Is that the goal? No. I wish that was the goal. I mean, that would be something that we want on this side. I want Palestine to one day be a country. It's not, has never been a country, but I wish it could be one day a country. But that's not what they're fighting for. They're fighting because that would mean what? Why? Because that would mean peace with Israel. We can't have that. Peace with Israel? Oh my God. How dare you even think about that? So what are they fighting for? They're fighting for just fighting with Israel until the end of Israel. She's making the option of peace with Israel not even something that they could comprehend. How could you negotiate with people who think like this? She's asking for forever war. She's asking for more dead Palestinians. Do you understand that defining this as your goal? So they're not asking for a Palestinian state. They're asking for the annihilation of Israel as a nation state. They're asking for genocide while calling the other side genocidal. This lady is asking for genocide of Jewish people. And theirs call the other side genocidal. This recipe, this mindset is the most anti-Palestinian position that you could advocate for. This is the best thing to push for if you want to see dead Palestinians. If you're not even if you can't conceive an end. But a lot of pro-Palestinians, of so-called pro-Palestinian advocates, unfortunately think like this. They don't even have an end in sight. As long as Israel exists as a country, you should keep fighting. Who's dying more from this war? Palestinians. So if you want to continue this is misery for Palestinians. This is encouraging more Palestinian children watching their parents dying and more parents watching Palestinian children dying. This is more Palestinians losing their home. This is more Palestinians going hungry. This is a generation of traumatized Palestinian children that probably are going to go become radical and terrorists themselves. How could you want this? How could you advocate for this? You're seeing the results. You're seeing the results. This is your ego over the lives of children. And she's not even paying the cost. These are the most anti-Palestinian people in the world. The only way that you could save Palestine, this is going to sound heartless, but it's the most kind thing you could ever say. It's going to sound evil, I know it. But it is the most kindest thing you could do for the Palestinians is to take away their hope for victory. Because there is no victory for fighting. But you know what? Your ego, the idea of weakness because accepting defeat, your desire to not accept defeat over a superior opponent apparently is stronger than your desires to see your children live. There is no shame in accepting defeat if that gets you to see your children grow in a safe, prosperous environment where there's hope for the future, where there's hope for stability rather than hope for conquering your enemy. You replace one hope with another hope. Replace the hope for crushing Israel and killing Jews with the hope that you get to kiss your child goodnight at night under a roof with a belly full of food. That is the hope that you should be aiming for. Because the more these people tell you that you need to keep fighting, and the more you're convinced by that, the more you're going to hold your dead children in your arms, watching their mother crying her eye out. This is going to be your future, one generation after another, because people like this have managed to convince you that you need to keep fighting. Egypt stopped fighting. Egypt accepted that Israel should be. And Egyptians are now better off than you. They surrendered. Oh, how shameful. Wow. Well, what do you want? What do you want? You want to not feel shame of surrender? Or do you want to see your kids alive? Just take the shame. Jordan accepted Israel as a country. And Jordanians are now better off than Palestinians. Japan accepted defeat. They surrendered. And they're now one of the largest economies in the world. Germany accepted defeat and they surrendered. And now just recently, they're even bigger than Japan. They're the largest economy of Europe. Look at the history of other people's accepting defeat. Do you prefer to be a German, a Japanese, or even an Egyptian that has to live with the shame of accepting defeat to Israel, but they get to hug their children at least at night? And you don't get to do that because you were convinced that maybe there is a victory at this point. And hey, even if there isn't, if I die, there's victory in the next life. These people have blood on their hand. These people have Palestinian blood on their hand. The reason why we spend more time defending Israel than other countries, because other countries' rights to existence are not being challenged as much. Like even people that are against, I don't know, Russia, right? Like I'm pro-Ukrainian. I'm pro-Ukraine's defense against Russian government, but I'm not against Russia existing. Obviously, I am extremely against the Islamic Republic of Iran. But obviously, I am pro-Iran. But how is it that even when it comes to Israel, why is that this, people have a different standard? Like, go look at other people who are anti-Putin, who are even use vocabulary like, yeah, we're against Russia. But if you ask them, like, do you want Russia to like be annihilated as a country? They're like, no, right? But they say that about Israel. Why is the double standard? Yeah, okay. I'm against the Likud party. I'm against Netanyahu. I'm against the far right party right now in Israel's government. I am against them. But why is it that when it comes to Israel, being against their government all of a sudden translates to being against the entirety of the country? What the hell? Why is there a double standard? Is it because they're Jews? Because I think it has something to do with them being Jews. This is anti-Semitism. The double standard. Tell me the other reason. There is no other reason. Everything you want to say against Israel, I can find it more in other countries, and people are not so widely against the existence of that country. Why is that Israel so special? It's because people hate Jews. There is no other thing that sets it apart.